Call this regular scheduled meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. I'm going to ask our County Attorney, Sam Phillips, if he would lead us in a word of prayer, and we'll follow that with the pledge to the flag.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today thankful for all the blessings you've given to us individually and collectively. Thank you for the seasons of the year and a beautiful fall season. Ask that you bless our leaders and give them wisdom and discernment on the national level, the state level, and the local level. Ask today that you be with this group here as they make decisions and do what is right for the people of Simpson County. I also wish to ask you to bless and keep those who wear the uniform, either now or in times past, and bless and keep our first responders. Ask that you forgive us for our sins. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Gentlemen, if y'all had an opportunity to review our minutes of our October 4th regular court meeting, I need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Nate. Was that Myron?
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Myron. Any questions, additions, corrections? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, next, if you had an opportunity to look at that map, can y'all see it very well? The Hoy Trail, the walking trail. This is, and Tammy, you're welcome to come up. If
Is that on our
That's
portal?
not on our portal.
No.
it should be, I think it is.
What's it under? Because I ain't see it.
Put it on the wrong one.
If you don't mind to hand out paper copies in. I thought it made it to the portal. That's okay. But while she's coming up with this is a walking trail project that the city's doing. And you're going to see, you might need a magnifying glass or readers or something. There's a little spot that they want to have a little parking area. And the parking area is actually, I have a copy, on county property. And so basically what the city is requesting is the authorization and permission to fix a parking area for the walking trail on the county property.
And the parking area is circled with that black circle because it is really hard to see, and I apologize. I have a bigger copy if you'd like to see it a little more detailed.
Where is that located? I can't really.
It's, it's at the
Yeah, in behind 5 Star and Sherwood Terrace.
Okay.
kind of at the corner of 1008 and 35.
That's down where is that where we did the FEMA? My mom's
Yeah.
right here. We did the FEMA houses down there that flooded off of is it Rutherford or Rutherford?
Molly Drive.
But Rutherford runs off up to 31 and then Molly runs down in there. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so my understanding is the county acquired that property off of Molly years ago after the big flood that we had. And the city was given the property, it's outlined in yellow if you can see. The city applied for a recreational trails grant a few years ago. We were awarded $97,000 for that project with the intentions of building a walking trail. So there's a lot of family history there with the Hoy family, which if you trace it back, related to Ella Hoy, Goodnight, Thomas Hoy. Exactly. Thomas Hoy was one of the very early founders of Simpson County. He actually was granted that land through a land grant for his service in the Revolutionary War. So a lot of history. We want to tell that story about Simpson County and what it means to our community. But as we've worked with designers, they have recommended that we put 2 small parking areas in. One would be, the entrance would be off of 1008 and the other on Molly Avenue.
Where would you enter off of 1008?
Right, there is a road right now I'm thinking it goes down.
Okay.
And that's how they get to the cave where the city cleans out that cave, because it fills
Okay.
with debris when it rains.
So you're just wanting us to like do a easement or to actually fix the parking lot?
No, we would take care of the parking lot.
You just want us to grant the city permission to grade and prepare and maintain a parking lot
Yes.
on the county property.
So moved.
Did you say so moved? He did. Okay, so we got a motion by Scott to allow or authorize or allow, however you want to word it, the city to prepare and maintain a small parking area on the county property.
I'll second that.
And Marty seconded it. Any other question or discussion?
Do you need this?
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
All right.
get the bulldozer ready.
Thank you so much.
Thank,
We hope to start construction after the foliage dies back and the creek project are gone. So that's the goal, is to get in there this winter and get that.
Well, it'd be a
and
good
the
time
what
being
was
such a-
gone? I meant, and the what was gone?
The creepy crawler.
Oh, okay, I didn't catch what you said.
And as dry as it is, and it means that's in a flood zone, it would be a really good time to be in there doing
Flying,
it.
crawling varmints.
The creepy crawlies will leave when that dozer starts rolling over it. All right. Next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the South Central Kentucky Crime Stoppers annual review, I think we just need to authorize that we've received this notification. It's no money, it's just something that the county had entered into at some time past, and this is just an update on that activity and what they do with that money.
So move.
Got a motion by Nate to acknowledge receiving this, and a second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is, if you had an opportunity to review the 911 interlocal agreement with the Kentucky State Police, we need a motion and a second to approve this interlocal agreement and authorize the county judge to sign it. And this is basically a continuation of the current agreement that we have with KSP to provide enhanced 911 service for Simpson County.
That amount of money that they're requesting, I mean, is that, I should, maybe request is not the word. Is that going to be the charge?
Well, I don't know that we know yet. They sent us an estimate, and the estimate, because I know I notified y'all, maybe I didn't make you a copy of this, but I think I did bring up in one of the court meetings that they're saying it'll be $290,000. But we haven't received that bill for that amount yet, correct?
And we haven't paid anything for that this fiscal year yet. They have not billed us anything.
Yeah. The only thing that I mean, I understand that costs are going up. I also understand what the cost would be if we had to move the service back here locally just to get the equipment, and then the annual cost to operate it, personnel and so forth. The thing that I find really interesting is that I had asked and asked and asked about what revenue the state is generating off of cell phones in Simpson County, because the last accounting we have of that was 2011, when it moved from being operated here to operating at KSP. And I think at that time, and I couldn't find that chart, but I'm thinking at that time we were generating $120,000 to $130,000. Now you're talking about 11 years ago. And how many more people are here now, and how many more cell phones are here now. And according to this, and I'll make you guys a copy, if y'all want a copy of this sheet, I'll get you guys a copy of it. But they claim that they're getting $186,370 in cell phone revenue. The reason I find that odd is because I would think there's at least 10,000 cell phones in Simpson County. I would say probably more, but just at 10,000 at $2 a month equals $240,000 a year.
Well, we had budgeted, if I'm looking at this correctly, $193,000 for this fiscal year. And to go to $290, that's a pretty good pill to swallow
Oh, yeah.
right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it $2 on cell phones?
It is. Yeah, every cell phone bill has a $2 911 fee per month.
Wasn't it like 75 cents at one time?
I thought it was 70 cents.
Is it only 70 cents? I thought it was $2.
Well, I could be wrong, so.
That's what I was thinking. It was like 70
Water
or
bill's
75
$2.
cents.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, but I think we'll look and see. If it is only 70 cents, this number may be right.
Yeah,
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. It was like 70 or 75 cents. I didn't think it was $2.
We'll check into that. I'll look at my last cell phone bill, see if we
but
figure
can
that out.
they produce you the amount of cell phones that we have in Simpson County? I mean,
I don't know. They had to come up with this number somehow.
I know you've been asking since you've been our judge.
Yeah, and I got this note dated May, this is dated back in May, but it also, with this note and this number here, came the estimated increase in cost too. So, anyway. But the bottom line is, if we want to continue having 911 service, we either have to enter into this interlocal agreement or we don't have the service.
So move.
So we got a motion by Myron to enter into this interlocal agreement with KSP and authorize the judge to sign it.
Second.
Got a second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. I want to say something here for people who are listening, because I understand, and believe me, I do understand, that there's a number of folks that says, I wish we had our 911 service back here locally. The decision was made 11 years ago to move it. Now, the sheriff and the fire chief, they could speak a lot more to how the service operates and works than I do. And I'm not saying you need to or should today, either one of you, but you're welcome to if you want to. But the bottom line is, where even if it cost us this $290,000, it would cost us in the neighborhood of $800,000 or $900,000 to operate it annually locally. And so, just for some clarification points, Sheriff, Chief, does the service, does it work well? The sheriff's nodding his head and said yes. He's coming up to talk about it in a minute.
If I might interject real quick,
Yes, sir.
when I was here 11 years ago, and our system was antiquated, and as I recall, the bids to get it up to modern standards 11 years ago was going to run into 7 figures. Marty was here.
Yeah, that's
Well-
the reason we did it, because the state police can take that equipment that is needed and they can divide it amongst 3 or 4 counties instead of just each county having to spend that out. So that's the reason we did it.
But
It wasn't that we didn't think we had quality people working or any
No.
of that. It was simply the
Cost.
expense of buying the equipment was so much, and this contracting with KSP made more economic sense.
We were going to have to bond a bunch of money, 7 figures, to get it modernized first, and that wasn't even counting the operational expense year after year, and that's why it was done. And that was the reasoning behind the fiscal court at that time going forward with it.
Right.
And I'm sorry, Sheriff, but
Yeah, I wasn't
to-
calling any of that into question, but that's good explanation for the public.
Try to keep my answer brief. When I was out on the campaign trail, every now and then you would have somebody direct a question about the dispatch center and why the sheriff allowed this to happen. Sheriff didn't allow it to happen. The sheriff does not run the dispatch center. Fire department doesn't run the dispatch center. That was a decision that was made 11 years ago. Like it, don't like it, it's really irrelevant at this point. Don't mean that ugly, but mainly none of us here had anything to do with that decision. There are some advantages to having a local dispatch, but the cost, the financial costs are tremendously against us, to quite be frank. You asked about our current service. It's a good service. It could be better. when I say it falters, it's faltering because they can't keep people employed. That's what it all comes down to. They are lucky to have 2 dispatchers in that room on a shift, and don't fool yourselves one bit thinking if we brought it back locally, we could keep dispatchers in there. It's the amount of pay. They only make $15, $16 an hour starting out. You can go to Warren County dispatch. You can go to other dispatches and make a lot more than that. And that's what happens, and it takes a pretty good while to train one in. So they're struggling to keep people employed. Do not think for 1 minute, if you started your own dispatch center and you had to keep about 10 dispatchers employed, that you're going to be able to do it. I don't know who would run it, and I'm not against local dispatch. I'd love to be able to walk in my own dispatch center. But in this day and time, unless you're going to pay some big money, you can find a few people to dispatch, but like I said, they've got the state police name, and with state police name, they're not able to keep people there. So that's, I think the chief would probably agree. He may have some different aspects of it, but
I think you're very well spoken, and Sam made very valid points. I was not chief at the time, but I was around, and again, I think it was just a cost saving measure. But he is right, the dispatch, and if anything, case figures, dispatchers a little bit more, because they're losing them. But again, with that, those costs are passed down to the folks like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Nicole, we had motion, second, and vote and everything, correct?
No.
I don't have anything.
You don't have anything? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm sorry,
sorry,
Myron and
I
Scott.
moved on to the next one. Yeah, Myron,
Yeah, I thought we-
motion,
yeah.
second posted,
I
sorry.
thought we did.
I'm already ready for the next
You're,
one.
re- you're,
I'm ready to go.
you're like, hurry up over there. You're
We
wasting
holding her
time.
back. That's what we-
You don't have a motion on the next item.
All right, all right. All right, next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review this EDF resolution, we need a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2022-10-18 EDF. And this is some monies coming from the Kentucky Economic Development Cabinet. It is pass-through money from the county, from the state through the county for road improvements on an industrial project.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty and a second by Nate. Any question, discussion?
Do we need to?
And it authorize the county judge to sign.
I was just fixing to ask if we need
Yes,
to
and it
include
needs to
that.
include authorizing the county judge to sign any necessary paperwork.
All right.
Are y'all both good with that
Yeah.
language? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And Denny Griffin's with us today, the Executive Director of our Industrial Authority. Denny, thank you for your work on this project. It's going to be a nice project.
And thank you all for your support.
Yeah. All right, next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the planning and zoning bylaws, we just need to discuss and possibly approve some changes. We have, it seems that the planning and zoning bylaws were last updated in 1990, which has been 32 years ago. It also seems that the planning and zoning approved their own bylaw changes, and so there's 2 immediate suggestions that I would make. Well, there's 3 immediate suggestions I would make. One is getting the planning and zoning to update their bylaws a little bit, but I would think that both bodies of government that oversee the planning and zoning should approve those bylaws instead of them just being approved by the body itself. One of the things that I feel needs to be added to that is that to serve, there needs to be some language about serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission as far as it relates to residency. And the third thing I would suggest is that if y'all are good, we hand this off to the county and city attorney to get with the planning and zoning attorney to revamp these bylaws. Now, we were going to have this, we do have a joint meeting coming up at noon, but the city manager felt as though we had enough things to discuss because he didn't want the meeting to drag on and on at noon, and so suggested that we could each individually bring this up in our individual meetings and pull it together. So those are the three things I would suggest, that we do need some language about where Planning and Zoning Commission members reside. We need some, I do feel like, and I may be wrong, Counselor, and I'll let you talk in just a second, that the bodies of government that have put together the planning and zoning should approve those bylaws. The current 1990 iteration of the bylaws were only approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission themselves. I love it when you start that way.
I think there is nothing wrong with them approving their own bylaws. That's how they conduct their own meetings and such. You know, we've created, I mean, at least one taxing district. I think they have their own I don't think there's, by itself, I don't think there's anything wrong with that or illegal or improper.
Okay.
But I don't think there's anything illegal or improper by having a requirement that the governmental bodies, to be fair on the other ones, they don't have, as a rule, direct over or financial support from the governmental bodies. I know there are plenty of organizations and boards around the community that the fiscal court does support financially. The Parks Board comes immediately to mind. Other boards too. So if you all want, I don't think it was wrong of them to do that 32 years ago.
No.
That said, I don't think it's wrong for this body and the city to bless it and sign off on it. So I think you've got the discretion. I guess the short answer is you've got the discretion to do it. Both bodies do if you want to.
Okay. Thoughts, opinions, concerns, questions?
Well, I was just looking here. It says, it just talks about the officers, and it says all the officers shall be citizen members.
Yeah, it does say citizens, it just don't say citizens of where.
Right.
Yeah,
Probably need to hammer that down.
clarify.
Yeah.
Because we're all citizens of somewhere.
I was going to say,
You-
that
but
could, that's
You would
subject to
think the
it,
implication would be,
You would
you're
think.
a citizen of Franklin or Simpson, Simpson County.
but that's pretty, left to a wide interpretation.
So,
I agree it needs to be hammered.
so we're gonna just, let Sam look at these and then vote on it at a later date.
Yeah, I guess what we would need to do today is maybe make a motion in a second to maybe authorize the county attorney in conjunction with the city attorney and planning zoning attorney to work out some updated bylaws.
Getting three attorneys together, that'll be interesting.
Is it,
We won't get this done
Yeah,
for our next term, though.
Is it-
Probably by the millennium.
when you say updated bylaws, it's just to look at the one issue of the,
Well, no, I mean, maybe there needs to be a revamping of all of it, because, I mean, I didn't scrutinize the bylaws to say, are there things here that was good 32 years ago that doesn't make sense today, or are we facing things today that we weren't 32 years ago that maybe needs to be incorporated?
Well, I'd say there's been a few things that have changed in the last 32 years.
Yeah, just a few. But the two things that I feel really need to be added is we need to specifically define that you're residents of Simpson County. And personally, I would like that the bodies of government that are footing the bill have the opportunity to review and approve the bylaws once completed.
I agree with you on that. Sam, you've not looked, I don't guess you've looked this over yet.
Short answer is no.
Some of this stuff is handwritten, I really can't even read it on here.
Well,
I'm not sure.
many years ago, when I was planning and zoning attorney, I looked over the bylaws, but I've not looked over them since I came to the fiscal
Have you
court.
slept since then?
At least once.
All right.
I don't have, Jim Henderson tried to get me to get one of those, and I was afraid I'd touch it and it'd like disintegrate. One of those
So,
little
pads.
So I mean, I guess I would entertain a motion to authorize the county attorney to work in conjunction with the city and planning and zoning attorney pending like action from the city.
So moved.
Got a motion by
Second.
Marty, second by Myron. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, now finally, if you had an opportunity to look over the ambulance board member appointment, we need to make we need a motion and a second.
Not on there either.
It's not on the portal.
No, I didn't put it on the portal because you had the information on there.
Okay, I thought did we not make copies for everybody to see here? No, at any rate.
Because I figured you usually announced it.
Yeah, it's to reappoint Lee McBrayer to a 2-year term from January 1 of '23 through 12/31 of '24. And that was per the ambulance director's request.
Well, I'm on that board. Lee's a good board member, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve that.
All right, so Marty has a motion to reappoint Lee McBrayer to that 2-year term.
Second.
Second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Moving to financial business, if you had an opportunity to look at the cash transfer, we need to authorize a transfer from the ARPA fund to the general fund of $442,521.30.
What is the up-to-date amount of money that we paid Motorola?
Well, this money's being moved to cover some of that because we've got the bill on the 60%.
60%. We've made the first 2 payments. I have that amount here.
And while she's looking for that, we had approximately, we received about $3.6 million, and we had about approximately 1.7 that was designated as lost revenue that we could move to the general fund, and that's why to expend that money for this Motorola, we have to move it from that ARPA fund to the general fund. And when we make this payment, that'll leave about $500,000 or $600,000 still pending in the ARPA fund that we'll eventually have to transfer
So
to cover those costs.
the equipment is here somewhere. I mean, radios. Is that,
It's at the mobile home in Bowling Green.
$1,180,056.80 after this payment gets
After,
done this
okay.
week.
thank you.
So, all right, I need a motion and a second to authorize that cash transfer.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Nate. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, if you had an opportunity to review the September financial statement, we would need a motion and a second to approve that financial statement pending audit, subject to audit, and authorize the county judge and the county treasurer to sign it.
So moved.
Got a motion by Nate,
Second.
second by Scott. Was it Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions or discussion, gentlemen? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Then the budget transfers, if you've had an opportunity to review those, I need a motion and a second to approve those budget transfers as presented.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Nate. Any question or discussion about the budget transfers? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And finally, the bills and claims. If you had the opportunity to review those, we need a motion and a second to approve those bills and claims as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question or discussion about the bills and claims? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carried. Moving to reports. For all the people that are just so inclined to be interested in politics, there happens to be one more political forum tonight at the Franklin Simpson High School cafeteria. It is hosted by the Franklin BPW, and it's really part of their Professional Women's Week. This is the Business and Professional Women's in Kentucky Professional Business Women's Week, and so this is one of the activities. I think they have several activities going on this week as a result of that. And I can tell you one thing. The majority of what gets done would not get done were it not for the women in our community. And that is a fact. Now,
Nicole agrees.
Both
I mean,
personally and professionally.
yes. Somebody, now we need some levity, so a little bit of levity. I've had people say to me several times, well, I see you run the county, and I'm like, yes, I probably do, but I don't run my household. My wife does that. But in all seriousness, in the county judge executive's office, we have 4 ladies that I don't know that they're members or not members of the BPW, but I can tell you they are all professional women that do an outstanding job, and sometimes it makes me feel as though I don't have anything to do because they handle everything so well and do such a good job. But the point being, and I mean this with all sincerity, if it were not for the women in our community doing the jobs they do, we would not accomplish near what we accomplish in this community. And that is just a simple fact. I know the sheriff and the jailer could both say the same thing about the ladies in their office and the tremendous work they do. Tammy, I know the work that you do at the city, and I know there's other ladies there that do a tremendous job. And it's not just in county government, it is countywide, the ladies that make such a positive impact on our community. So I'm thankful for what all of you do. But we do have a political forum tonight, 6 o'clock. If you would love to hear from all the candidates, you can come and be there. As I said earlier, we do have a joint meeting with the city at noon today. Boo Fest will be this Saturday on the square. If you need more information or would like to know the hours and times, just contact Kim Roberts at FS Renaissance. You can get a hold of her at 270-586-8482. And then finally, guys, if you want to go, but I think you need to let someone at the Extension office know, the 4-H banquet is November 3rd at the Ag Building at 6 p.m.
And while you're talking about politics, early, we're going to start voting November the 3rd, I believe 2 weeks from
Well, I'll start with your report, and you can bring that up. So, go ahead.
Well, that's, voting starts, is it here at the courthouse on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Sheriff?
Yes.
Okay, and that'd be 2 weeks from Thursday, so I encourage everyone to get out and vote. And I'd like to see a really high turnout, but unfortunately, we usually don't get a real high turnout on elections. But it costs, if you figure the cost of what it's pretty high per vote of what it costs in tax dollars to have an election every time.
Yep.
That's all I got.
All right. Nate?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Marty said, by me going around to people's doors, there's still quite a few people that don't know where to vote at, because people been asking me, they still voting or thinking that they can vote at the old precincts, and I said, no, it's been changed, that there's only 3 places now on voting day where you can vote at, so we still got to get the word out there, because we would think that people would know all this stuff. We take it for granted that they do, but they really don't. With the Boys and Girls Club, right now we're going into looking for new board members, because we have some staggered, you know, were coming off and everything, so we got a few board members that's coming off the board, so we're looking for new board members. So if anyone out there know of someone or themselves, you know, just see a current board member, you know, to submit either your name or someone's name that you think that would be a good board member for the Boys and Girls Club.
All right, thank you, Nate. Scott? No report. Myron?
No report.
Counselor?
Briefly, want to follow up with the judge about the BMPW. Just personal side, my mother was a charter member many moons ago, and I got to echo what you also said. I mean, a little levity. Imagine how bad you would look if it wasn't for them backing you up in the county judge's office. I mean, true enough.
Yeah.
It's like the women in my office, particularly Debbie Hunt, has made me look competent for the last 25 years.
Plus,
So,
Michelle makes sure that I keep this twig down on the back of my hair.
yes, they do all kinds of things, but I'm just saying, the women in this community make us all look good, and we should be very proud of all of their efforts. Also, taxes. Please pay your taxes by the end of this month, get your 2% discount. After that, it's face value to the end of the year. If you're I know everything's kind of gotten more, well, not kind of, has gotten a lot more expensive in recent times, and so if you want to try to save a little money, pay your taxes early and get the discount.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff?
No report.
Jailer?
Sorry.
Chief? Bill, I know you've got some things. Actually, I closed my portal up. I think you've got something on the portal for us.
Yeah, you guys should have a copy of the proposal that I have. I want to talk to you a little bit about this morning. As I mentioned in the report and proposal, that it's come to a place where our door locking system here at the courthouse, we've patched it up all we can. There is no longer any support for software to keep the thing going. When our swipe cards, when they're gone, if you break one, that's the end of it. We can't make new ones. We can't, right now it's working, but if it quits tomorrow, I'll be making 15 or 20 keys and we'll go back to locking the door. So if you look before you, you see that I have 3 companies that gave us bid to have this looked at. And also what I've included that, and I want to hopefully include it in the motion, one of the main reasons for that we've been, that myself and the tech team, we've been working on better security for the courthouse and the surrounding area grounds. We've got, right now got a grant that Bob put in for us to try to get some more cameras and some blocking mechanisms here in the courthouse, but we're not for sure how we're going to come out on that. So we really can't wait to see what's going to happen with the grant. If we get the grant, we can apply it to some other things, so it won't be a double expenditure here. So when you look at this, the proposals that I have, and I got the east and west entry doors, and I also got the judge executive office. And what I'm wanting to do, or what we are wanting to do, is to get where we can lock the interior doors as well as the outside doors when, during the day, if we have some kind of something going on. We have people walking out, we have people walking through this building all day long. They'll come upstairs and wander around. Of course, they're looking for the Justice Center or they're lost. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it could be bad if we had the wrong people come in. So our goal is to eventually get it where we can, the girls in the office, like planning and zoning and Bob and his and the judge executive office, they'll be able to lock this place down. If they see something going on in the hallway, They can hit a panic button, it's gonna lock their doors. People can't come into their door, can't come into their offices. We have somebody that's irate or something that's not happy with something, we can lock them out. And right now, we'll be able to, right now, we can hit a panic button and lock the east and west door, but it's just, all it really does is break a circuit to the magnet. So we're wanting to get this upgraded where we can have, swipe cards, and it eventually will be where, like, people that are authorized to swipe card, they can come in the main door, they can come into any of the offices, if they're set up to do that. Or if, like, as a planning and zoning person, we'll only have a swipe key to bring them into planning and zoning. They won't be able to come into the judge executive's office or the emergency management office. It'll keep everything separate, but also there'll be a chance that we can lock this place down. It's a little expensive. I can't do nothing about that. That's why we got so many bids. We had a wide variety of proposals here. And if you look at Company A, their proposal for the entry doors was $2840.80, and to do the judge executive door is $2999.20, for a total of $5840 for those 3 doors. Now that's going to get us a new controller in the media room, and we'll have a new controller, new swipe boxes. The judge executive door is going to require everything. There's nothing there. It'll be a system that will hit the main controller, and one of the main things too that we want this system to be expandable. If we need to move it up to some of these areas up here, we want to be able to expand this system. Now the Company A system or the Company B system, the Company B system is expandable, but it's with their own equipment. In other words, what they put in for the entry door for the east and west, we can add to that system, but only their equipment. With Company A, their brand is a different brand that several companies use, and we can add that as we go along. The other thing I was looking for, like in Company C, we're not for sure where their tech was. And what I didn't like about Company C was the fact that to upgrade the software, the software would be on the cloud. So it's a $261 per year per door. So if we add more doors, of course, the price is going to come down per door, but I got a feeling it'll never get below the $500 and so many dollars that we'll have to pay annually. The system we have now, we have no fees that we pay for it. Just like with the A and B company, when we pay for it, the software is in the controller. And I'm not sure, did he say, Adam, how we would update that software?
There's just firmware updates.
Okay, it's just regular updates that we'll do ourselves. But anyway, so that's where I'm at. I would like at this time, because another thing on the judge executive office, we're going to have to start. We got so many locks that have been put on there. We got holes everywhere, and I would want to replace a lock for that. But I thought while we were doing this, that we could go ahead and start with there. I would like, if we have a motion to approve this, I would like to get it where that we would go ahead and approve for the other 2 doors on the first floor when we get the money available. I have the money right now in the courthouse budget, but I'm not for sure what's going to happen this year, and I don't want to really have to transfer money in. So I'm kind of saving out of our courthouse budget. I'd like to use about a fourth of it, a little bit more than a fourth of it right now, to get it through. And then if I see that next June, May, June, somewhere in that area that we haven't used that money, And I would like to get the other two doors on the first floor done, so that system would be entirely in place on the first floor. And
What
that
would be the
secure-
cost of those other two doors, Bill?
Sir,
What would be the cost of those other two doors?
be six more thousand.
For two doors?
Yes, if you look on the company A, it's $29.99.20 per door. And we're only doing one door on this. But one thing, it will be connected to the controller that we have for the east and west entry doors. And I think it's gonna be, if we add a door, I think it was like $300 less, something like that, if we do a door with that system. And we looked at that system, we like that system. That's the atrium, isn't it? Yeah. We like that system, and it comes with, like I said, a new controller. We get, I think, 20 of the little swipe buttons. We're moving from these to these to get in. This is for the Justice Center, and this is one we have now to get us into the courthouse. So they're not as, they can be put on a keychain. They're not as.
Maybe I'm looking at something wrong right here, but the east and the west door, that's gonna be a cost of $28.40 for those two doors.
Yes.
But the judge's executive office is just, is it two doors or is that one?
Yeah,
door?
okay, let me explain. What we're gonna do with the east and west doors, we're not gonna change the magnets. We're not gonna change none of that. With the judge executive door, there's nothing.
Okay,
There's no
okay.
wire. We're gonna use the existing wiring on the east and west. So we cut a lot of cost out there, labor cost, pulling new wire. But with the judge executive door, there's nothing there. And here's another problem, that when we've talked with them guys that do this, install it, we told them we just can't go down there to the judge executive door and fish a wall and pull a wire. You know, everything's 3 and 4 brick thick, and there's everything has got to be surface mounted. So the only thing at the judge executive door that we're going to get current from the high voltage from a switch or a receptacle that's in
Somewhere.
the area. We're going to get that, but everything else, and then eventually the controller part of it will tie through our Wi-Fi, and we got one on each side of the building, and we just can't, from north to south, we just can't really run any wires. There's no way.
So the door going into actually Mason's office, that door there will just be locked, or, it's not gonna be included in here, is that right?
No, it'd just be
Okay, just the main door?
the main door.
Okay,
Like going
okay.
into the office. Mason's got his key for his, and he's the only one that uses that door.
Okay,
But this will allow everybody that has access to that to come in without a key. It'll be programmed in with their button that brings them in either east or west door. They'll also have a button that'll let them in there. That same button would do it. It's just the way we program them and get them in, put them in place. But that's why the cost of those are so, because it'll be magnets, all the wiring, and when we talked to the guy, we said, if you're gonna do this, the conduit's gonna have to be painted to match, we've got some brown paint that we match everything with, so anything added will have to be
right.
made look as good as we can on an exterior, on a surface mounted, system.
Is there a subscription to that one?
No, no.
So it's a one-time,
Yeah, it's ours. When we buy it, it belongs to us, and they'll send us firmware when there are updates and stuff that, we either put in or it'll go through the Wi-Fi and be put in.
And we still have the ability to manually turn this locking mechanism off like we do now with the east and west doors.
Well, we'll have one step above that. We'll put it on a time. The doors, the east and west doors will automatically unlock at 8, and they'll automatically lock at 4.
Really?
So now, of course, if Pam's here early, she opens at 7:30, and
That's, they got the library, the library's got that too.
and then plus if if somebody, we have people here that come in early for work, you know, all they gotta do is put their.
Swipe
they'll
it.
just swipe and come in. And then the door will unlock at 8 when it's officially supposed to be open.
Well, I believe keys would be cheaper, but I don't think they would be better.
Yeah, you're correct.
Well, I was thinking of this, Nicole and Pam and Michelle and Sydney in the judge's office. If the way people are nowadays, if something were to happen, I like the idea that they can lock that, for their safety, can lock those doors.
Just to be honest with you, I would love for it to be able to do all those doors, because it's the same way with Emily and those in planning and zoning. I feel the same way for them as I do for the, you know, but, you know, we've got a starting point with our, you know, and if the court says, you know, go ahead and do that, and then if I run into something that, you know, we can transfer a little bit of money, I've always been way under my budget on the money we spend here. And I thought about maybe doing the east sidewalk this spring, and I'm still kind of up, because we want to talk about, I need to meet with other people, and we need to talk about our brick sidewalk. Of course, when I replaced the west sidewalk, I knew that we could replace that section without interfering with us. I can do the east same way, but the side sections of the east are worse. They're off level and pieces are missing, and we're gonna have to address that one some year. But anyway, but if the court would say, go ahead and do all the doors, or they say do the 3 doors now, and then as we get to the fund, we do the other 2 doors. That would be fine. I'm at whatever the court wants to do.
So, I guess we didn't really talk about this, so I'll ask this question, because like normally, like the glass door that goes directly into my office, it has no mechanism to lock, but the big wood door does. Yeah. So once I'm here and I open that door, it's open. But when I leave, if I leave to go to a meeting, go to lunch, whatever, if I leave, I close the big wood door and I lock it when I leave. But I guess, so let's say that I'm out of the office for whatever reason, I've got my door locked, and something were to happen and the ladies in the office said, hey, we need to lock these doors because someone's in the corridor of the courthouse, and because normally the big wood door is open. Is this magnet going to be on the glass door?
Yes.
So it's locked. So what we'd have to do essentially would be you hit that lock button, would immediately lock that door, but we would need to get over there and shut the wood door also.
Well,
I mean, if it was something that was a serious.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to break the glass and come through, I mean, that'd be another thing we would talk about. But I mean, most of the time, situations like that, somebody would they're just looking for something, they come up, grab the door, and it won't open.
Right.
Of course, there's 2 doors in Nicole's office and your door, those doors will remain locked.
Yeah, I mean, the only time my door's open and unlocked is if I'm in the office.
But another thing, by putting a magnet on the inside door, that inside door is tall. So the magnet would have to be the top, and, pulling against the magnet, there again, somebody could probably break the door before they'd unlock the magnet. You're not gonna unlock those magnets. But even our outside doors, you can pull them open that far. Yeah. But it's not gonna let anybody in. Yeah. But that's just the nature of the beast when you got them great big doors.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a motion, we do the east-west doors, judge's office, and planning and zoning.
So that would add another $29, $99, $20 to it.
Yes. But I would hate to have it on one side and not have it directly across the hall on the other side. If we're gonna do that.
Let me throw this in there too. When it comes to the OEM law, we do not have a lock on that door now. The only thing we've got is a steel door that can be locked. It's very tricky. We only have one key, and I made a key last year out of, when I first came, not last year, when I first come, out of a piece of metal, and it works. But that's the original vault door, when it locks, the old key, but it's always got to lock that area up. And that's where we need to decide if we're interested in locking that door. If we're not, then I'm perfectly fine with what you're saying. But I want to put it out there that there's not a lock on that door, that we'd have to put some kind of mechanical lock, and what you're dealing with is a steel frame.
Did you make a motion, Marty?
Marty made a motion to do the east and west entry doors, the county judge's office door, and the planning and zoning office door, which would be $29.99.20 in addition to the $58.40.
I'll second that motion.
The OEM door that you're talking about, is that the one downstairs or up here?
No, downstairs.
Oh, down, the old fire
Yeah.
chief's
Yeah,
office?
that's where the OEM is completely moved into now.
Okay.
So you got a motion and a second.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Myron? All right, so we got a motion and a second. Any other question or discussion?
I mean, if the rest of the court wants to add that door on, I'm fine with doing that. Do them all, but whatever the rest of the court members say.
Any thoughts, or do we see how this works out and
I
then we
think
can
we'll
expand it?
You kind of see how it all works out.
Okay. All right, so we got a motion and a second for basically those 4 doors.
Okay, then, so if we ever decide to do the other door, I will need to come back and get approval for that one?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
It might require something different than steel door. Could be.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, here's a note of how the ladies in the office make you look good. I have forgotten, there's on the portal, I had put a note about the Good Samaritan. They have sent a request to have a one-time contribution in addition to our annual funding. And they have a note, if you read that note, they talk about how much assistance they've given out and how much the requests have risen over the past couple of years as the economy's kind of, well, not really, I don't know that the economy's really gotten that bad. It's just inflation has gotten ridiculously out of sight. I mean, seems as people are still spending money, they're just having to spend a lot more of it to get what they were getting a few years ago. But, so it's just a discussion. Do we want to consider, and they didn't specify an amount, I think they would be appreciative of any amount if we wanted to help bolster their money for helping individuals in the community.
Here's the way I see it, or the way I don't like voting on giving any organization an amount without knowing kind of what they want. I mean, we may say $500 and they may be thinking $1,000. You know, I don't mind doing so. I would just like to have a number.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a one-time contribution basis. I mean,
Will we
I
get
mean, if we
paid?
have an amount, do they say it? They didn't say
I know
any
we
kind
give
of amount.
55, is it 5,500?
45.
Do I now?
I said we get 4,500.
4,500 and then the additional $1,000 for, hang on.
The one paragraph says, we're just reaching out during this time to see if Simpson County would be able to provide any additional funding this fiscal year for our ministry. While we still have to cut back, any additional help you could provide would allow us to continue to provide as much assistance as possible. So I mean, I don't mind to ask Mr. Gill if he has an amount in mind. I think by the nature of this letter and that paragraph, they're going to be appreciative of anything we do. Now, it's one of those things, I would almost be ashamed to offer them $500.
Well, that's why I wouldn't say we did that, but.
Right.
You know,
What is the indigents cost? I mean, that was another $1,000.
I mean, we
Does
gotta
that go
pay-
to a different?
Yeah, we
area?
gotta pay, like, if the court sends us an order, like, for,
Okay,
people,
okay.
like funeral expenses.
Funeral expenses, we have to
Okay.
pay those. If people aren't able to cover their cost, funeral expenses, there's a few other expenses that come that
We have to pay court costs.
court costs for people that don't have the ability to cover those, so.
what is y'all's thought? Because, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, just off the top of my head, I don't mind I would be okay with, let's send them another $2,000 or $2,500 to help. Because, I mean, they do a good service for the people in the community that need some help.
But that would just be,
Yeah, we're just doing that
Yeah.
now. This isn't part of the annual budget. This would be over and above. Because I would say we've already sent them the appropriation for this fiscal year.
We have.
I'm with you on that.
25.
If y'all are
Yeah, that's
comfortable with
fair
that.
enough, that's, yeah.
Is that a motion?
Yep,
Myron made a motion to send the Good Samaritan an additional $2,500. Scott seconded. Any other question or discussion?
so make certain that they realize that's not an increase.
Yeah, not saying we're going to have a $7,000
Exactly,
appropriation
exactly.
next year. Yeah. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carried. I think all I need now is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Nate. All in favor, aye? Aye.